Welcome everyone. How are you, David? David,
Hi, Chris.
how are you? Welcome.
Good, good. Thank you. I'm doing fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce you a bit,
Yeah.
and then we go on with the presentation, and
Perfect.
then yeah, if you don't mind. So, hi everyone. Hi Phil, Greg. So David is our guest today. David Mulwa is an engineer. He studied instrumentation and control engineering. And besides that, he has a diploma in project management and then an MBA from the University of South Wales. So David has always been a salesman. He loves it. That's what he does every day. So he's had a long career as a salesman, first as a technical salesman in Davis and Shirley Company Limited, and then a key accounts manager for Bamburi Cement Limited. And then currently is a regional sales manager overseeing East Africa for Ishida Europe Limited. So you can see, I mean, David has been at it for a while. You can see he's a sales enthusiast. So he's going to tell us what it takes to be there. You just need to be a born salesman or you need to work at it. So David, please welcome. And if guys have any question, I prefer you write to me so that I read at the end of it so that we keep it short, precise, and to the point. Thanks a lot. Welcome, David.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. And hi to everyone who's joining us today. So I know Chris has given a brief introduction, but I'll also maybe just talk a little bit about it as well. So my background, as he has rightfully said, is in instrumentation and control engineering. So sometime back in at Egerton University. What he hasn't told you as well is that I tried a short stint with TPA, and this didn't work out very well. I think the farthest I went was section 2. Yeah. So that's it. But I also have a diploma in project management, thank God. An MBA from the University of South Wales in the UK, and I also have a certificate actually in negotiation from the University of Michigan. Okay, so from a sales career perspective, I started off at Davis and Shatcliffe back in 2013, actually as an intern. And later, after 6 months, I was taken to be part of the team that was starting the Mero branch for Davis and Shatcliffe. Then shortly after that, maybe 1 year, 2 months or so, moved to Bamburi Cement. All these are sales roles where I was the key accounts manager, so I was in charge of all the contractors in the country. So the likes of China Road and Bridge, so the railway line project, which is quite iconic. So I was in charge of that project, among many other projects, especially along the coast. I was there for close to 5.5 years at Bamburi. Then I joined the company that I'm currently in, Ishida Europe. Last year, actually in April. Just to explain what we do at Ishida Europe, if you have ever taken a bag of crisps, whether it's tropical heat or crackles, or eaten macadamia nuts from Kenya nuts, or eaten the Kenya sweets, the sweets, tropical sweets. So if you have had any of those products, just know that they have gone through our machines. So ideally what we do, the machines that weigh and pack crisps or nuts or even cereals, talking about Weetabix, those are the machines that we deal with. So we design, we manufacture, and we install. So initially the business in East Africa was being handled from South Africa and also our head office in the UK. So when I was told to come and head the operations here, I mean, I did not hesitate. So I took up the challenge of setting up the office. So the office here in Nairobi, which is at Babadogo, is the hub for East Africa. And this is the wider East Africa. So all the way from Tanzania, all the way up to Eritrea and Djibouti. So in total, it's around 11 countries. But I've not always been, I'm not always in sales. So other than that, so that you don't get confused and think that my life revolves around sales. Most importantly, I am a Catholic for starters. I am a father. Actually, I have 2 boys and one more boy on the way sometime in January. So please pray for me. And I'm also a husband. Okay. I also do some things for fun. I mean, I play football, chess once in a while. And I think I've only played tennis once, courtesy of Chris. Right?
To go back again.
So, yeah. And the other thing, I mean, I know the biggest question that has always come to the mind of many is how someone in engineering landed in sales. And to be honest, I never envisioned a career in sales ever. And that's the reason actually I did engineering. And I've had several wishes in my career. And I remember the very first dream job that I thought about when I was still young was being an astronaut, which was a bit weird, but this was in class 4, class 5. And actually, as I progressed, now my dreams of what I wanted to do as a career were becoming clearer. And I remember I also, at some point, wanted to become a pilot, a doctor, a guy in the military, because my father just retired last year and he's always worked in the barracks. An engineer, which I finally became. And actually, at some point as well, I really wanted to be a priest. But that doesn't mean that priesthood is a career. I mean, you also need to have some concrete career background anyway. But all this, my career wishes have always been influenced by various people or various circumstances in my life at that point in time. I mean, the reason I wanted to join the military is because my dad used to take me to the barracks, our barracks, and I could see all these guys in uniform and saluting, and I thought it was really, really cool. And that's one of the reasons I really thought a career in the military would have been ideal. But again, also I realized my father really also wanted me to join the military because you just join after Form 4 if you have very good grades and you join as a cadet. I think my father at that time was tired of paying school fees and was hoping I would take up that role very fast. Unfortunately, I disappointed him, and I'm happy that I never took the role because anyway, my mom never supported it anyway. And the reason I wanted to be a doctor is because when I was in high school, my biology teacher, I think he was the best. And I was also very good in biology. And whenever we were doing those dissections in the lab, he always says, Mulwa, please come and be the team leader. At some point, it created a bit of friction with my colleagues. But actually, that's changed in Form 4 when he was transferred and he left. And actually, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to stick with engineering. Because again, also my lecturer in physics was also very good. But what I'm saying is I've always had different career dreams depending on the circumstances that were there at the time. So your environment also plays a big factor in some of these things. But just to go right into how I landed up, I landed in sales. As I said, it was never part of my career path. It's because when I finished my university degree in 2012, of course, like everyone else, I was looking for a job. And being a young graduate in instrumentation and control engineering, the companies I could think of at the time were the likes of East African breweries, Unilever, Kenya Power. These are the companies I wanted to work for, all the blue companies you can think of. Unfortunately, if you're not very lucky, those jobs don't come by very easily. And the first job I got was at Davis & Shatcliffe as an intern. Now, the thing with Davis & Shatcliffe is that for you to join their team in sales, you have to be an engineer. And for the simple reason that you're selling technical equipment, so you need to understand how they function. You can't afford to behave like a hardware that just sells things for the sake of selling. I mean, these are customers that will require a demo, that will ask very technical questions, issues to do with voltage and current and output, and you need to have this basic understanding. And that's why actually, I'll say maybe 65 to maybe 70 to 80% of the workforce at Davis & Shatcliffe is actually the engineers because of the nature of the business that they do. And that's when I realized actually, you know what, I don't need to go and argue with machines that I'm not talking back. Maybe I'm really cut out to be in sales. And I mean, I did very well at Thika branch. That's where I was posted initially. And that's why I was actually given the opportunity to be the pioneers for the new branch in Meru. And actually, after exactly 1 year during the short leave, I was recalled to the head office to take in charge of technical field sales. So you're in charge of the technicians, but you're also selling at the same time. And that's how that's how promising my career became. And I realized actually, I think I'm cut out to be a sales guy. And that is it. I've never looked back. So I do not regret ever doing engineering, because all the jobs that I've done, I've always had engineering as a prerequisite for you to join it, to join the organization in a sales position. Reason being, these are technical sales jobs, and this what we call B2B, business to business. So you are selling directly to the end user. And these guys will expect that you speak their language, because you are interacting with contractors, you're interacting with engineers. So when they talk about, resistance, you need to understand what they're talking about. And that's how actually my degree in engineering has helped me to grow in these roles. So even when I joined Bamburi Cement as a key accounts manager, I was dealing directly with the contractors, and these are ideally engineers, so you have to speak their language. And the same case with this particular one at Ishida Europe, where we sell also technical equipment. So the degree in sales, in engineering has played a great role in my sales career. So the other thing I just want to explain why it takes to be in sales, but I feel it's not as difficult as you can imagine. And Chris, if you'll allow, if I can maybe share something on the screen.
Sure.
What you need to understand is just the psychology of sales. And you'll be surprised that actually everyone and each one of you is a salesperson. I mean, when you'll be looking for your first job, you'll go for an interview and you'll be selling yourself, you'll be selling your skills. That's the thing. For those who will choose a path in marriage and you're courting and you're dating much later in life, I mean, you'll be selling yourself as well to your spouse. So without recognizing it, we are all salespeople in principle.
Good.
Everyone can see that?
Yes.
Chris, can you see that?
Yeah, I can see, yes.
Okay.
The first slide.
So the introduction. Sorry?
No, we can see it very well, eh?
You can see that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So the first bit was just the introduction, which I've spoken about. I mean, how I ended up in sales. As I said, it wasn't planned; it just came by chance, and I realized that's where my strengths were. And as I said, I've never looked back. And given a chance again, I'll always choose sales. So that was it. But as I was saying, sales is not as difficult as it sounds. And what you need to do is actually understand the psychology of sales, which is what I'm going to show you in a bit. And this is just understand the buying cycle. Okay. And Chris, I would like to make this quite practical for you to understand what this means.
Yeah.
So Chris, have you bought anything recently? Maybe a laptop or a phone?
Recently, let's see. I bought a phone in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's recent enough. I mean, it's still this year, right?
Yeah, it's still this year.
Okay. So now, why did you buy the phone? What happened to your previous phone?
The other phone was not working well, especially the battery was bad. Eh?
Okay.
So it was going off every so often. It was quite an inconvenience.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So the reason you bought another phone is because the first one was not serving you well, didn't have good battery choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what you call the awareness of needs. So you realize that what you have right now is not working and you cannot continue living like this. So that's where it starts. And this is what also when I'm making my own sales, this is where I start, because this is what everybody as an individual and even organization, this is what they go through all the time when making a purchasing decision. So it starts with an awareness of needs. Why do I need this thing? And as a salesperson, your job is to understand that, because the awareness of needs is what creates the pain points. So well, the way you have explained, Chris, the aspect of battery juice, battery charge not lasting enough. When I'm selling you a new phone, that is what I would capitalize on. I would tell you, you know, this phone will last you 2 days. Yeah, I'm not saying that you lie. Of course, you need to tell the truth. Otherwise, if you buy the phone, it doesn't perform as I've said, of course, you will not come back and I'll explain how that works.
Yeah.
But ideally, that is where it starts. And a salesperson is for you to understand that and capitalize on that. So that's the awareness of needs. So Chris, so you realized you needed an phone. So did you just go into a shop and buy a phone?
No. I asked around just to know which phones, you know, what was experience, you know, among my friends. Which phone was working well for them. I was very keen on the battery. So I asked around and then I checked in the internet. I did a bit of research. And then after that, I decided. And then when I decided on the phone, I checked where those kind of phone could be bought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I mean, that is the ideal process, because you don't just get into a store and buy a phone. So what you do is assessment of alternatives. So you have to think, I mean, currently maybe the previous phone was Huawei, for example. So you start scouting for a Samsung phone. I mean, how does the Samsung phone function? How is Nokia, for example? How is Oppo? So it's the assessment of alternatives. And this is where now you are comparing what you had or the current proposal that you have against competition. So, and it's exactly the same thing that a customer will do. So I will give a customer my proposal, and they will look how it compares with competition and what are the differences. So assessment of alternatives, that's the next stage after awareness of needs. So you come to the alleviation of risk. So alleviation of risk is actually trying to see what you can trade off with. For example, if you're looking for a long battery life, then that means you are compromising on a few things. You might compromise on the quality of the graphics of the phone. I mean, the things that really drain the battery. The things, the amount of apps that you can have there. And let's say you start looking. If I need a good camera, that means maybe the battery life is not lasting long enough. Or if I need a phone that has a huge memory for storing many apps, that means I have to compromise on the battery. And then sometimes I have to choose, do I want a good camera or a long-lasting battery? Or am I going for a big screen and small hours on the battery? So this is where you start trading off and decide, what can I live without? And that's the thing. I'm sure, Chris, you had to decide, okay, am I looking for a camera or a phone?
Yeah.
You know, do I want a big screen or do I want a long battery life? And this is where the alleviation of risks come in. And once that is decided, then you make a decision to buy the phone, whatever brand it was. Okay. And the other stage will be the achievement of results. Remember, the phone that you bought was based on a certain promise that from your own research and also from the salesperson who sold you that phone. Now, the achievement of results is, say, a period of realization to see whether what you are promised is actually what was delivered. And this can go two ways. It's either you love the experience, and next time you want a phone, you go back to the same store or to the same model, or you hate you don't like the experience and you're done. And your brand is, I mean, that brand is out of your choices for future phones. So this achievement of results stage is very critical for any person who is selling. Because selling is one thing, but the aspect of service. And I always tell guys, a good salesperson will give you the first sale, but it is excellent service and customer experience that will give you the subsequent ones. And this is where now the achievement of results come in. And then again, you move to awareness of needs. So it's a never-ending cycle. Because I mean, Chris, your phone will not last forever. Eh? So at some point, it will get old or it will fall and break, and you move again to the awareness of needs, and you will need another phone. So depending on the experience that you had and the achievement of results, that will determine whether you go back to the same model of phone or to the same store. So, and that's it, guys. It's okay. I know it sounds simple. It's not as simple, but again, it is not as complicated. But actually, it's just understanding these 5 steps. the buying cycle, which are practical not only for an organization but also to you as an individual. So once you master this, you should be more or less good to go. And actually, I'm trying to. The idea was to make this presentation very short so that I leave quite a bit of time for questions and answers. All right. So in a nutshell, as I wind up the presentation, is, I mean, what am I trying to say, and what is the key takeaway from this? In my own opinion, I think sales is the best career in the world, and I will tell you why. Of course, I'm sure many others, especially guys in academia like Chris, might disagree. But I think a career in sales, the reason I think it's very exciting is because there's no aspect of monotony, and especially if you are a field person like myself. Every day is different because people are different. You're meeting different customers, one with unique needs, and secondly with unique personalities. So today I meet a customer who is very, very nice. Tomorrow I meet another one who's just a big problem. So someone who is complaining about everything and nothing. So the fact that no day is like any other makes it very exciting. Secondly is because you manage your own time. I mean, my boss sits in the UK. He rarely knows actually what I'm doing on a daily basis. What he's interested in is numbers at the end of the day. I mean, we shall review at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter, and my sales figures will speak for themselves. So my boss does not need to know what I'm doing. He just needs to look at the results. And I think that's the beauty of it. I can choose to wake up at 10 in the morning. My day can start as early as 4 in the morning, because I also liaise with the teams in Japan, where actually our global head office is. So I need to, it's a bit dynamic. And I think this is what really makes my sales exciting. And also, almost forgot, I forget, the travels. The travels is something that I find extremely exciting. Although with time, it starts to not be exciting at all, because once you start having a family, then you want to spend more time at home with the family. But before I got committed with marriage and kids, I mean, I couldn't spend 2 weeks in Nairobi. So 2 weeks was maximum. I was all over the place, in Kisumu, in Mombasa, running after projects. I think this traveling really, exposes you start looking things at a different perspective. And now that I've gone to Ishida, I mean, now you're looking at 11 countries, so you can imagine the exposure that this gives you, getting to experience different cultures in different countries, and also different ways of doing things. I thank God that I also get time to go to the UK, at least before Corona happened. I mean, I was there once every quarter. And I mean, this experience of just traveling the world and getting to see things from a different perspective, I don't think there's any joy that can be compared to that. Okay, so the other thing is, a career in sales is very interdisciplinary. I mean, you are applying different skills just to achieve a certain objective. Sometimes I wonder when I see in advertisements in these local colleges saying that we are offering a course in sales and marketing. First of all, I get offended because they put sales and marketing in the same sentence, because actually these are two different career paths. The second thing is, there isn't really a course in sales. Yes, you will understand the basic principles of markups, margins, all these kind of things. The maybe the legal framework when you're dealing with contracts, but the art of selling is not something that you can be taught in school. You'll be taught things like negotiation, but most of it is actually out of experience, because even if you're negotiating, one person is always different from the other, and there's no experience that is similar to the other. So what I'm trying to say is, actually, even a doctor can become a salesperson. And I mean, they're always selling. That's why we prefer maybe one or two to the other. And then this also brings the aspect of things like being able to analyze stuff. I mean, right now, when I'm talking to customers, you have to collect as much data as possible, and based on that data, recommend a solution. Because sometimes these customers don't even know what they want. They have a problem. So it's up to you to give them a solution. And this calls for many other skills that are combined to give a solution that works. And then the other thing is, of course, a career sales is performance-based. I mean, it's numbers. If my budget is, like for this year, I'm supposed to do 783 pounds, which is around 783,000 pounds, which is around maybe $850,000. So you're talking about, yeah, you get the drift. So at the end of the year, my boss would tell me, look, I told you, we agreed this was the budget for the year. You signed, you didn't hit your budget. I mean, there isn't a lot of stories on that. It's either you hit your numbers or not. So it's clear. And also that's the beauty and also the downside of sales, that your objectives are very, very clear. It's numbers, so it's either you hit them or not. And the other thing is, once a salesperson, always a salesperson. I mean, I can't imagine doing any other thing, despite the fact that I have a background in engineering. I've never practiced in my life. It's not that I'm regretting, but I always find myself selling. And part of selling is negotiating. And actually, when you're out shopping with my wife, sometimes she prefers that I stay at home because I'm always negotiating. But it's part of me. I mean, and it's also part of human nature. Everybody wants more for less. So I always find myself negotiating for everything, which, as I said, my wife doesn't like it very much. But once you set yourself in a career of sales, you'll always find yourself selling all the time. And that, guys, marks the end of my short presentation, and I'm hoping that the remaining bit will just focus on questions and answers, which I think is a more proactive way of getting to address your concerns.
Yes, David, thank you very much. I'll just start with the first question to start us off, which somebody was asking, is very interested in doing engineering. In fact, he prefers doing electrical engineering. So he's asking, how difficult was the engineering course? How was it for you? Just how's the experience?
It was so difficult.
Yeah.
Such that for my second degree, I decided to go. I became bright and decided to go for something a little easier, which is an MBA.
Yeah.
No offense to all the guys pursuing MBAs. That's how difficult the engineering course was.
Yeah.
However, I am not saying that it was not enjoyable. I enjoyed, and I mean, I have a great passion for maths and physics and being able to analyze stuff. What I'm saying is, it's not easy. It's extremely difficult. I mean, there are courses that I've never understood to date. And actually, we have our subgroup for the old boys of my class during uni. And once in a while, people post formulas there, and you wonder what that was about. But I mean, it is difficult. However, it is exciting and rewarding at the same time. So please go for it.
Okay. And then the other question is,
yeah,
just like, some role model, you can say, like, somebody would say, wow, this in this sales field is like one of the best person, or someone I look up to. I guess yes. So that for those who don't know, can do a bit of research after.
Funny enough, for me, yes, my role models have always been closer home.
Yeah.
And what I mean is, it's people that I've been closely working with. And for starters, I mean, when I was in Bamburi, my role model was my director, commercial director. It's called Mr. Geoffrey Ndugwa. And right now he's the CEO for Malawi operations in Lafarge. And the reason that was the case is because he started exactly like me. When he was starting off, maybe just to give you a bit of perspective why we were a good match is because one, he's an engineer for starters.
Okay.
All right. And that is how actually I began loving the guy. And then he also became a key accounts manager, which I was at the time in Bamburi as well. And he has risen, became a GM at some point, then became the commercial director for Bamburi. Then he is the CEO for Malawi now. And we speak. And when I look at his career path, these are things that I envision for myself.
Oh.
I mean, after this role, the next role that I'm eyeing is GM for East and West Africa. So it's something that these are guys that give me inspiration when I look at what they have done. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we have common, common backgrounds, makes them more so role models that are fit. But the thing with engineering is, I mean, if you look at some of the great leaders that we have, they have some sort of engineering background. I mean, look at Michael Joseph, for instance. What did he do with Safaricom? I mean, the guy was an engineer. And I think, to be honest, there are two people who make great CEOs. And one is, if you are a sales, you understand sales, then the chances of you making a good CEO are very high, because sales is what brings in the money.
That's right.
So you might have very good accounting guys, very good mechanics, but at the end of the day, if you have no revenue streaming in, I mean, that organization has no business being there, unless you are an NGO and you're depending on donor funding. But any person who has a good understanding of sales, that means the organization will be aligned towards generating more revenue for the company. And that's what every company wants. We want to grow, and to grow is actually just increasing your revenue, and the bottom line. I mean, you have some expectations from the shareholder. They want a return on the investment, so making money. And the other combination is, if that sales guy can be an engineer, then the better. And from the aspect of being analytical, you're able to view things, with a third eye, something that is very unique. Just being able to analyze numbers and give a solution that nobody thought of. And if you followed me on LinkedIn, I mean, I'm a bit quite passionate about sales. And one of the departments that I've always had problems with is finance. Because unfortunately, for an organization to have a very successful sales force, that means the entire organization and the entire departments need to be aligned. And there's always a big disconnect between sales and finance, because finance, their key job is actually take care of money and make sure that we are not exposed in any way and we do not lose money. But remember, this money is being brought by guys in sales. So as you develop your policies and your strategies of keeping the company safe, you need to make sure that you are developing policies that are aligned with what the salespeople are doing, because salespeople are actually on the ground and they know the actual positions. So if everybody is giving out credit, then it's only, for example, Bamburu is not giving credit, then you will realize that sooner or later you will close, because everybody wants credit. So it's just a matter of how do we give this credit. You just need to make sure that it is secured and we are not exposed. So the other departments really need to be aligned with what the salespeople are telling them, and then they come up with their own policies and ways of doing things. Needs to be aligned to the end goal, which is selling and making money for the company. So though I say sales is very exciting, unfortunately, the success of any person in sales depends largely on so many other factors which are outside the salesperson's control. For example, if I'm selling cement, it's dependent on one, the factory actually being able to mill cement and making it available for sale. Okay. It also largely depends on the logistics guys making sure that we have trucks to deliver. And the other thing is also depending on someone in accounts actually receiving that money in the customer's account, so that is able to load cement. So, and that's where the sales career now becomes stressful, because so many factors come into play and you have to manage all these things to ensure that the customer is happy. So that's the thing, Chris.
Wow, interesting. Now, just moving on, David, very interesting. Now, somebody's also asking that, COVID came, COVID-19, things were, things changed a bit. So the question is, will sales be the same, or are there new dynamics that have come into play after the outbreak of the pandemic?
Wow, after COVID, I don't think anything has remained the same. And I can say things have changed, especially the way sales is done. But again, this largely depends on the industry. Now, for example, if you are looking at an industry of mine, the one that I'm in, that deals with technical equipment. Okay. You cannot sell this equipment over the phone or on a Zoom call. I mean, you're talking about the cheapest equipment being 5 million. So you want someone to invest 5 million because you made a presentation on Zoom. No, guys want to come and actually see the machine, touch it, do some product trials, and make a purchasing decision. So for me, the way I do sales didn't really change. What changed was making sure that I remain at the customers' top of mind throughout, when I couldn't be able to visit them at their factories or facilities. And the way I did that was constant communication, whether it's on WhatsApp, or email, just letting them know that we are present. And I think the killer question that I was posing to all my customers, just to ensure that you remain relevant, was I actually called all of them and I told them, I know that we are going through a very difficult process with the corona happening.
Yeah.
What can I do to make the situation better?
Ah, okay.
And that's the question I was posing to everyone. And I mean, chances are, in most cases, there was nothing I could do. But the fact that I asked and I told the customer, look, I understand your pain.
Yeah.
How can I make the pain better or go away?
Yeah.
That shows actually I truly care about the customer and its business other than just me making a sale.
That's right.
And I think that's the approach that we need to take as salespeople, and especially those selling technical equipment, a sale that you do not make every day. But that said, across industries, I mean, many people adopted several strategies. I mean, one of my customers, these guys who do pork, how they called pork sausages.
The Farmer's Choice.
Farmer's Choice, yes.
Yeah.
Farmer's Choice. I mean, he sent me a brochure on WhatsApp because I know the operations director, and he was telling me, now we are doing deliveries actually. So people adopted several strategies to ensure their survival. But you see, I can't put that stand for the line I am in. So as I said, for me, it was just the same way of doing things, given the nature of the product. But many businesses were forced to reinvent the way they do things just to remain relevant.
Keep going.
I mean, even the likes of Kenya breweries now, they're doing deliveries at home. If you take alcohol, that is.
Yeah.
Right now, I see lots of WhatsApp groups in the estate selling fruits. I mean, and they deliver to your doorstep. So people really had to adapt.
That's true.
Just to remain afloat. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Now, David, somebody is asking also something here that, you know, for you to become a good athlete, you have to train. You have to condition yourselves. You have to get the right muscles, you know, well taken care of. But say, for you to become a great salesman, great seller, what you need to train? What, you know, what kind of training do you need?
Okay. Interesting. What I always tell guys is actually when I'm doing my sales training, the other thing I didn't mention was, other than this, I'm a sales trainer, just in case I have a customer here. So I do sales trainings. So, and I've delivered quite a bit of trainings across Africa, and especially at Lafayette sites. But the first thing that I tell people is, I mean, it defeats purpose to be a salesperson if you do not understand your product. So number one, understand your product in and out, what you're selling. And you need to be so confident so that, I mean, you can say everything concerning that product when you're asleep. And this is what I always tell people to invest in. It is so bad to go and try and sell something, and then the person you're selling to, your customer or prospect, knows it better than you. I mean, that's the worst experience ever. And actually, this happened to me when I recently joined Ishida. I mean, it was a baptism by fire. I didn't have enough time to do all my training. And I met a customer, and he was asking things, and I'm like, is that even part of our portfolio? You know, because it was so technical. I was wondering whether he's talking about our machines.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a bit embarrassing, and I've always invested in product knowledge. So first thing, know what you are selling.
You're selling, yeah.
And you need to be so passionate about it, because a customer will sense let's say, whether you're passionate about your product or not, just from the way you talk about it.
Yeah.
And you will see that enthusiasm. So and you will see whether you believe in it or not, because it's useless trying to sell a product to someone, and if the roles were switched, you won't even buy it yourself because you know it's crap. So it's so bad, and customers can really sniff this. So if you're not very confident about your product, the customer will know it. So that is one. So point number one, just understand your product inside and out. And this takes time. I mean, if you're dealing about, it's not like selling bread. I mean, bread can only be understood in one thing. But if you're dealing with a wide range of products and which are extremely technical, like I'm always learning. I always learn new stuff. So, Chris. Hello. Oh, I thought I lost you a bit there. Okay. I mean, I'm always lying. So key number one, understand your products. Number two, understand your market. So if you are in the food industry, as I am in right now, you need to know what is happening. If there's been a big buyout, like recently, there's a company called Simba that was bought out by PepsiCo. You need to know. And this forms a basis for what we call breaking the ice, the small talk that you have with your customers before you start talking real stuff about business. Because I mean, you don't go to a customer meeting and start saying, did you get my quotation? Let's look at the pricing. No, there's always the icebreaker. And what forms the icebreaker is understanding the market trends. Because you might tell the customer, did you hear, by the way, something happened? There was a merger that happened between two of your competitors. And that forms a basis for discussion, and also shows that you know what is exactly happening in your market. And of course, you also need to understand the interests of the guys. So if the guy is into football, you need to understand if his team was beaten yesterday. So it's a good place to start. So it's a good place to start. So also understanding what the other customer likes. So sales is really getting to know not only a product, but also getting to know the person, because people buy from people, and they buy from people that they like, people that they trust. So it's about building friendship first before you even do business. All right.
Oh, interesting. Now the other thing, David, because imagine majority of us here in they're in high school, so from 2, 3, and 4. Do you know of a book or something they can do, for those who are thinking probably of a future career in sales? Do you know a book or something? What can you tell them?
First of all, if I knew how exciting sales was before I got into it, I would have chosen a career in sales. But as I've said, you don't really have a career in sales and marketing. Further from the truth, in what colleges advertise, because sales is marketing, but marketing is not sales. What I mean is, a marketer, his main job is to create brand awareness, but they're not selling. There's still someone who will come to sell, who is a salesperson. But a sales guy will market your product and at the same time sell it. Because when I'm talking to my customers here, some I've never heard of Ishida. So again, that's a marketing job that I have to do.
That's right.
I have to start explaining what is Ishida, what we do, then go to selling. But a marketer will not advertise, then start coming to sell to you. And that's where the difference is. But just coming back to your question, I can only at this point recommend one book, because I think it forms the basis for all this, because it means you need to be good with people. And that book is called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Okay.
So you need to get a copy. I read it I think 4 or 5 years ago, and I can say it was a game changer. So How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Okay.
By Dale Carnegie, a very interesting book, not only for someone who wants to have a career in sales, but someone who also wants to relate well with people, because it's all about people at the end of the day.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a very interesting book, highly recommended.
Wow. And now, David, also, most of these boys want to do, clean business. And our market, more often than not, there are people who tell you, to take the shortcut. They ask you. So the boys are also worried. Is it possible to, or does it require extra effort to be in this business and do it like clean? Like without compromising yourself.
That's a very interesting question, Chris, and it's not the first time I'm hearing it. But what I can tell you, it's difficult, but not impossible to do a completely honest business, and especially if you're in sales. And I have been in compromising situations in my previous careers. But it really depends at the end of the day what you want for yourself and also for your organization. Because once you do a shoddy deal, let's just say it as it is, if you bribe to get a deal, you're setting precedents that will never change. Everyone you deal with, that will always be the first one, and that's the risk. Now, when I joined this company, Ishida, and the reason I love it is because, first of all, Ishida is a family business, and Ishida is someone's business. It is someone's name. It's actually a family name. Ishida. It's someone's name. And the guys have been there for, the company was formed, I think in 1893, which is around 126 years ago.
Oh boy.
And the Japanese are very, very particular when it comes to their family name. You cannot afford to tarnish it. You know, the way you will say, for example, the karaoke's or, you know, the Mbidis of this world. So they really protect their family name, and they ensure that it's not tarnished in any way.
Yeah.
And the reason I love this, as I was saying, the reason I love this company, when I joined the company, that was last year, and when I went for my induction in the UK, my very first meeting was with the managing director for Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing he told me was, David, this is a family business. Ishida is someone's name. It has been clean for 126 years, and we need to keep it as clean as it is right now.
Wow.
And he asked me, and I was wondering, where is this discussion going? And he told me, look, if you go to make a deal and you're put in a compromising position whereby you need to give some sort of kickback or commission, leave it. This is not your business. It is Mr. Ishida's business.
Okay.
So leave it. And he told me, the day I'll put myself in a compromising position, then I'm putting the reputation of the family at risk, and the company will never protect you for that. Because I mean, it's useless. I'm going to bribe to give a commission because I want business. But if the company knows that that's how I got the business, then they cut me away, which does not make sense because I brought in volumes. But it's about keeping the family clean, because Japanese, as you know, the biggest crime that you can do in a Japanese family is actually stealing. And the way they think of kickbacks and commissions is a form of stealing.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you research the Japanese culture, the lowest form of that you can get of an individual that can get in Japan is being a thief. I mean, nobody wants to relate with you, nobody will employ you, nobody will give you a job, nobody will talk to you. The fact that they know that you're a thief, I mean, it's the lowest form that, the lowest you can get to life in Japan. And that's the thing. And I thank, I'm happy, and I thank God that I got the role, and the fact that that's how the company operates. But the other way that we try and mitigate this is we never deal with the government. Yeah. And thankfully for me, most of the food guys in the food space, in the food industry, this is really dominated by the Indians. Okay. So 80% of the food market is Indians. So and these are family-owned businesses. So you're going to talk to the owner. You're not going to talk to a procurement guy who wants a kickback. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. So we never deal with the government, because when it comes to issues of commissions, I can tell you 99% of the business that you do with the government, 99% of that is based on kickbacks and commissions, and this is known. Yeah. So I'm not saying something that is not that is not known. So I'm happy that I do not deal with the government, and that I deal with family-owned businesses. So it is in the interest of the customer anyway. Yeah. To get a good deal without losing money through commissions. Okay. Yeah. And so, now, as I said, it is difficult but not impossible to run a completely honest business. And honesty is always the best policy anytime.
That's right. Yeah. And now the other thing somebody is asking also is a bit of a general question. It's about the market. Yes. You know, you're a new business, at least to get into this market. How do you see it? What are your prospects? And I guess you found, these businesses that, the Indian business have always been there. So how are your competitors, and how are you guys faring with your competitors?
Well, I can tell you, and this I knew anyway, for the fact that this business was being run from South Africa. That means they had barely scratched the surface. I mean, the market is quite huge, and it's quite dominated by Indian machines. Yeah. One, by the fact that the food industry is dominated by Indians, so they will prefer to get it from India. So we have a lot of Indian machines here. So one, of course, when you get into such a market, that's quite a headache. First of all, you're setting up. Most people do not know you, other than the big players. So we have some international key accounts, such as Wrigley's, Nestle. So these guys, the likes of Unilever, those guys have heard of Ishida because from a global perspective.
That's right.
Okay, but when it comes to the small guys who form the majority, then they have never heard of Ishida. So a lot of work went into doing marketing That's why I'm telling you, this a sales guy is both a marketer and a salesperson, but you can't have a marketer as a sales. It rarely happens. So a lot of work just went into creating awareness that we are here, we are Ishida, this is what we do.
Yeah.
But the other thing that everybody needs to realize is not everybody can be your customer. You can't sell to everyone.
That's
so
true.
you need to identify your niche. Yeah. Who are you dealing with? Who are the people that can afford your machines? Our machines are the most expensive in the market. So choose your niche and focus on that, and develop a very convincing and compact value proposal. Why would I want to pay $30,000 more for the same machine?
Yeah.
And it is justifying this. That's where the skills of a salesperson are put to test.
That's right.
So identify your niche. You can't sell to everyone, and you need to be contented with that. So identify who you're targeting and focus all your energy towards that. There's always enough market for everyone.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And now, David, somebody's asking,
yes.
I guess a bit of a personal question, that, you know, some people think for you to succeed in career-wise, you know, like for you in sales, you have to forfeit, for example, family life, or you know, let it wait a bit, you know, like for later, you know, when I'm a bit settled. What's your take on that? And, you know, any advice, you know, like, you know, you seem very, very happy with your family. What advice can you give these young people?
Well, first of all, it's interesting that that question is coming at this stage in life, because once you begin your career, now it becomes a real life experience, not just a thought.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is striking that balance is not easy. And I remember now, actually, now that you're asking, my current role model right now is my boss. And funny thing, his background is in marketing. He did an MBA in marketing. However, he's an engineer as well. And I think also this played a big role when he was recruiting me, because among the 100 guys that he interviewed, I was the only engineer.
Oh, okay.
So I think it played quite a role. And one of the things he told me now that he's also my mentor and my boss at the same time. And you need to understand this is also a bit deliberate, because if you have a mentor who is your boss, that means that you tell him your career aspirations, and you also put him a little bit under pressure to make sure that you get there, because he's trying to balance being a boss and being a mentor. So some of these things sometimes are deliberate. But I remember the first time he visited after the recruitment, he visited Kenya again. He told me that, look, David, now I'm telling this to you as a friend, not as a boss. And he gave me a story. Before he joined Ishida, he was in a different organization and was in charge of actually the states. So he was based in the UK, but he was in charge of operation in states. And he told me that in 1 year, he spent only approximately 30 to 35 days at home. 1 full year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how frequent he traveled. And he has 2 passports. Because when he's processing a visa for a certain country, he has to use the other one for travels. Because he can't afford to wait for 3 days for a visa to be given. And he told me a story whereby the wife was heavily pregnant. They were expecting a baby, so he got the baby he was moving houses. So he moved houses on a Friday. So you can imagine when you move to a new house, by the time you settle down, it's a month or 2 months later, just putting everything in order.
That's right.
So the following day, they received their baby. Then it was a Saturday. Then on a Sunday, he traveled to the States for work.
Yeah.
You can imagine the house is in a mess. They have just gotten a baby.
Yeah.
He told me when he came back 2 weeks later, the wife had already prepared some divorce papers.
Wow.
That is how bad it was. And he told me, look, David, you will step on so many airports. You will get an opportunity to travel so much, but at the end of the day, remember you have a family, and this family comes first. So I told him, okay, I mean, if work requires that I travel, then what happens? Then he told me, look, I don't want you to regret as I have done before.
Yeah.
If you make sacrifices to spend time with your family, even if you are away, they will recognize that and they will understand. So he told me, whenever you are home, don't spend your time, hanging out with friends, catching up for dinner, for lunches, for drinks. Spend as much time as possible at home when you are at home. And when you are away, they will understand that it is genuine, because the little time that you have with family, you use it to the maximum. And that's what I always do.
Wow.
So for instance, Sundays, I never do anything else. I just spend with the family. And actually, I'm the one who also cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for my family, despite the fact that we have a house.
Yeah.
And Sunday is also the time I take my kids out, spend time with my family. I mean, without touching any work.
Yeah,
so it's just a matter of trying to balance that. And that reminds me, I was listening to this lady. She's called Jeannie Remy, the former CEO for IBM. And actually, her biggest regret was not spending enough time with family when she was just finishing a role as a group CEO. So if you're very successful in your career, there's always that risk that one area will not do well, and that area will be family. Because the reason you want to be successful is because you can give your family a good life. You want to make more money, make sure that they are comfortable. But you'll be surprised that you'll do all that and you'll go home and nobody wants anything to do with you. Your wife is not happy with you, your kids are not happy with you, you're always absent, they only know the mom.
That's right.
I mean, it's really difficult striking that balance, but it needs to be done. At the end of the day, it's family that matters, not that work. Yeah.
Wow, very good. Very good. Any parting shot? Anything you can tell the aspiring salesman?
So what I can tell them is even if your career does not end up in sales, whatever you do, do it well. Sanctify that work. Do it with the very best of your ability. Do it without any reservations. And the other thing is everything you do, if it's work related, should always go beyond work. Try and create friendships. I was very surprised that actually some of the customers that I had in Bamburi in construction actually had other businesses in the food industry. And some of those customers in Bamburi are still my customers now in this new business, because they were not only my customers, but we generated some sort of friendship. So make friends. As I always say, your network is your net worth.
That's right.
Create good relationships with people, and the way you'll do that is by doing everything that you do very well. So if you're a sales guy, make sure you're the best salesperson there ever has been. If you find yourself being a doctor, be the best doctor ever.
Thank you very much, David. We really appreciate, and thanks a lot. In case of any question, I'll always get in touch. And thanks a million.
Okay, karibu sana. For those who are on LinkedIn, please feel free to connect. Actually, my LinkedIn name is David Mulwa Mutua.
Okay.
So feel free to connect, and we can always take the discussion there.
Okay.
But if you have anything that you feel needs addressing, please pass it on to Chris. And I'll make sure that it gets to me.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Karibu sana.
See you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, for being a lovely audience in silence.
Okay. Cheers.
All right.